Hello and welcome to this video. So thought I'd do something different I've not done before. I was going to do a live stream, if you remember, but the equipment I've got is not going to allow that to happen at the moment, so I'm going to look into upgrading some equipment so I can do some live streams. But what I'm going to do is, the new bogies have come for the class 40 that took a nosedive off the Garden Railway last week. Now, the reason I've bought the new bogies is because the bogie clips have broken on the bogie mounts. So I don't know which end it is. This end, they're not actually secured, look, and the bogie frames themselves are broken, so that actually comes off really easily. Put them in the tray. So I'm going to replace both bogies in the 40. Just so they're both new. I mean, this 40 is quite old now. The wheels are starting to lose their plating a little bit, which attracts the dirt. And I know these are weathered. I weathered and painted these bogies, so I'm going to have to touch the weathering in because these bogies are unweathered. You have to make sure you get them on the correct way around. Obviously, the speedo drive goes under the fan and grille, so this bogie with the speedo drive will go this end. So I'm going to do a little bit of show you how to replace these damaged bogies, but also in the video I'm obviously not doing a voiceover, so hopefully the sound's okay, but I'm going to answer some questions that you guys have sent in, just have a bit of a general chat. So I'm going to do that while I sort out the 40. So if there's any background noises, any rumbles, whatever, because of me knocking the camera stand, I apologise initially. Like now I'm rustling about. Oh, my oil's there. I was looking for my oil. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the body shell off this 40. Now, with the Bachmann 40, there are 8 screws. There are 2 underneath each nose and 2 underneath the main body. On this particular 40, there are no screws in the main body bits because I had this sound fitted, and when the guy did it, I had it sound fitted about 10-11 years ago now. It's been a while. Put the screws in the magnetic tray, and what the guy did to make room in the body, he actually didn't use those screw holes. He just used the ones on the end. Come on, come out of there. There we go. And then inside the body, he cut the lugs off to make room for his speaker and that. The 40 itself, Bachmann have never released 106 or D306 Atlantic conveyor as it is. I actually painted this up from a BR blue version. No lights, it's one of the early 40s. And I actually painted this up, about 10, 12 years ago now maybe. And you can see on the brass there, it's chipped. And some of the weathering's been chipped. That was when it fell off the Garden Railway, so I will touch that in. That won't be in this video. I will, when I fire the airbrush up, because I've got a couple of diesels to paint. When I fire the airbrush up, I will touch the weathering up. So that should be all 4 screws. Now, as I was saying, you can see there where the body securing screws would have gone is all covered in wire and speaker, so they actually took the muffler and the mounting screws for the fan. So in fact there's one there that could be screwed in, but it's not made any difference to it. And the fan was obviously removed to get the speaker in. So there's the body shell off, and there's the other 2 screws. So I'm just going to look now. These that is supposed to be a stay alive capacitor, but it doesn't work. It has never worked. It's never been a stay alive. I mean, there's a fair bit of blue tack in here, and I'm just looking here to see if I need the soldering iron or not, and I don't think I do. I don't. That's good. So I don't need to solder. So I'll turn the soldering iron off because the wires are push fit. So before I go about changing any bogies, these are brand new. I got these off eBay, and they are complete. Like I said, they are completely new. They've got a bit of flashing on them. Nowhere, no dirt on them at all. But there's also no lubrication on that whatsoever. It is completely dry. So I'm going to have to lubricate these bogies up before I actually put them on the model. And I'll do that in a second. Now, I did say what I was going to do is read some questions out that you guys have done, and I've got them all written down here. So while I do this, I will attempt to read them out. Now, where's my grease in the toolbox? So the first question, and I've got a few from various users. This one, I haven't listed all the users because I am that much of an idiot that I'm not so organised. But one of my regular subscribers, a guy I've done a few repairs for, a chap called Stephen Davis, has sent some questions. And the first one I'm going to tackle is, what was your most challenging repair? Now, I'm just putting some of this Labelle 106 into here, just to put some grease on the drivetrain. So my most challenging repair, now that is a good question. I don't really know, to be honest. I've done so much that the ones that stand out, I suppose, were Blue Diesel that I did. That was my brother's childhood toy. That took a while. I mean, when the video was out, I think the video was about 50 minutes long. And the actual restoration took about 2 months, because I had to find all the parts I needed, and I did it on and off. Obviously, I had to paint it, which is never a quick thing. It takes a week nearly to paint a loco with an airbrush, I find, because, you know, especially if you... Oh, bugger it, I've just got that oil. I've just got that oil on that wheel back, not on the actual bearing. I was trying to lubricate this up without taking the bottom off, and I wasn't doing it properly. I've got it on there now as well, look. Well, let's try that again. I'll have to get a cotton bud in a minute and wipe that off. But yeah, when you airbrush an engine, you have to prime it and then make sure there's no problems with the body shell. Sand it down, reprime it again if necessary. Then you put your first coats of blue on, then leave that for 24 hours to dry. Mask it up, coat of yellow, wait for that to dry. And any other colours, and then so you've got like 4 or 5 days, and then you have to gloss varnish it to put the transfers on. Once you're happy with all the transfers, a coat satin varnish again, 24 hours. So it's almost a week, 24 hours between coats. I'm going to have to take that off because I can't get any lubrication on that axle. So yeah, so that was a challenging repair, doing Blue Diesel. I also did a guy's Tornado for Trash to Track, one of the early ones. That was a right mess. I've got some hideously repaired models in my Trash to Track drawer. I must have about 40 models in the overhaul queue, and some of them are unbelievable. Sometimes I buy a model and I really cannot believe. There we go. All I do with that is just use the wheels as leverage just to undo that. Oh, there is grease in it, just not a lot. Yeah, so that is actually greased up, so I didn't need to open them in the end anyway. Oh well, we live and learn. Yeah, so I've got some models. I mean, one of them, without giving too much away, is absolutely covered, a steam engine I've got to do, in PVA glue, because the guy who had it thought that he could varnish it with PVA glue, believe it or not. So I have got some challenging things, but yeah, Blue Diesel was a challenge. Tornado I did was a challenge. The Hornby Dublo breakdown crane was a good challenge because I learnt a lot of new skills working with die-cast doing that one. That was a very good model to do. So yeah, so I'd have to say that. Now, what I'm going to do now is, before I answer my next question, I'm just going to move this decoder out of the way, and the wires, pickup wires for this 40 are not soldered on. They are these press fit with these little black tabs. So I'm going to ease the wire out of there and the red one out of there. And then to remove the bogie, you need to take this screw out, undo that all the way, and keep that safe. Is that magnetic? No. So some are magnetic, some aren't. And then the bogie should drop out. Now, the new bogies didn't come with a drive shaft, so I need to rob that drive shaft. And again, a little bit of grease. I'm running out of this Labelle stuff. I'm going to have to buy some more. It's fantastic grease for modelling. Just a tiny amount on there. And then that should plug fit in there. And then I can turn that then and spread that Labelle through the drivetrain. So that is the old bogie frame. Now you can see, how well you can see, but there it's at the end of my little finger. If I take the wheel out, you can see where it's broken off. The bogie clip's broken off. So it's still good. I will keep that in my spares box because obviously the gears are in there. The pickups, the pickup brasses, the mounting, the worm gear, the wires. It is worth keeping these sort of things, and I will keep those for spare parts, as I will the bogie frame. The bogie frame's broke at the back as well, look. So that whole thing is pretty much smashed. So one thing I am going to do, actually, I'll see if I can do it. I'm not sure how this is going to go. This might break. But I'm going to try and rescue these buffer beam detail part. I was lucky. Went on my shirt. Buffer beam parts, and I'm going to transfer these. That one won't come out. What about that pipe there? If they don't come out of... Oh, that's not actually in the hole, because what I did was I put air brakes on the 40. They won't come out, so I won't actually do them. The buffer's loose as well, look. So yeah, so I've got quite a few spares there. I've got footsteps, these cables on the side, so that'll go into the spares box. Now the next question I've got is, what do I consider best locos for longevity point of view, and which are the worst? Good question. I'd say for longevity point of view is Bachmann, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, this 40 that I'm working on here, I've had for many years. I've got some 40s from their original release in 2004, 2005. Still going strong. Still going strong with, you know, minimal maintenance. Have I just done that? You see, what did I say about the wrong bogie? Look, I've just put that drive shaft in the wrong bogie because the speedo goes that end. So I nearly wrong-ended myself then. So I'm going to have to do this one as well now. Yeah, Bachmann. And also for Bachmann is their spares website is absolutely brilliant. You can buy spares for older models. They do really cater for getting parts. That's a bit stiff. For getting parts, you know, and they're very reasonably priced. Now, when I order parts, I get the guys at Trains for You to do it. They order it and I buy it through the shop, but you can set an account up and order it directly. It is worth waiting until you need, you know, several bits and pieces at once. It saves on postage. But yeah, for longevity, like I said, I've got Bachmann models dating back 20 years when I first started seriously buying models. I've got Bachmann steam engines and Bachmann diesels, and they are still going strong with little, you know, regular maintenance, wheel cleaning and lubrication. Worse for longevity, now, I don't really know. I don't want to be controversial and say, oh, certain models are rubbish. I have had problems with various manufacturers' models. I've got to try and get that in there. Proving a little bit difficult is getting that drive shaft in there because I can't see it properly because it's getting dark. Let me have a look. I know you can't see it on the camera, but I can see. I'm going to have to, I don't know how this is going to affect the filming, but I'm going to have to put this lamp on. Let me, now you've got a nice yellow tinge there because it's getting dark, you see, outside. So the iPhone camera picks the light up better, but I'll put that lamp on so I can see what I'm doing. I'm trying to see how that, so I've got the drive shaft. So I would usually edit all this out. so that you wouldn't be bored. But anyway, I was saying, manufacturers for longevity, I'd say personally, controversially for some, I would say that Hornby are probably the worst. I've got, like I said, several Bachmann models dating back 20 odd years. Have I had any problems with them with Mazak rot, anything like that? No, I've got nothing like that, you know. Hornby, I've got some excellent models that have stood the test of time. I've got Class 50s that go back 20 years. Their Class 60s are phenomenal, but I've also lost Class 31s to Mazak rot. 131 that I lost. You know, Hornby, they sent out... Why won't that go in there? I don't really want to take this whole shebang out because it won't work very well. When I contacted Hornby about... Do you know what? I'm going to unclip that because there's a fly here as well. I don't know if you can see him on camera, but there's a tiny fly and he keeps flying right in front of where I'm working, which isn't good. Yeah, like when I contacted Hornby, when my 31 went to the rotten stage, they offered me £100 for it, which I think was the generic £100 everybody got the same type thing. But mine had a custom weathering job on it, because mine was the Dutch one, 31 110, and it was also the very first model that my girlfriend at the time, who obviously is now my wife, bought me, so it had a bit of sentimental value to it. And I explained to Hornby, can I just send the chassis back? I want to keep the body shell, and I got told no, if you don't send the whole thing, basically if you don't send it all in, null and void, you won't get nothing, even though we know it's our problem. And I was pretty miffed with that, to be honest. And also, you know, Hornby things, the Bachmann longevity is good because you can get spares for repairing models. Hornby spares, that it's just a joke, you know, for somebody that repairs models. And I'm not the only one in saying this, because I know a couple of other people that repair models professionally, and it's this whole thing of Hornby not releasing spares or making spares. You know, it's just ridiculous, and it is absolutely ridiculous, because they've even now you've got people wanting things as simple. Get in there. There's traction tyres, and you can't get them because Hornby simply don't make them. And you know, I've got a model of a Battle of Britain. Now, I'm not going to know if that's properly connected yet, but we'll see. You know, I've got a Hornby Battle of Britain that my nan and granddad bought me years and years ago, in about 1995. And it was some BTs, and it's a golden arrow one. It's got the arrows on it, on the front and everything. And obviously, with a model of that age, it has got traction tyres on it. And without the traction tyres, it runs like an absolute dog, because the groove in the wheel doesn't allow it to run. Now, I've been told recently that they have stopped making those, and it's a travesty. It really is, because I don't want that model to be sat in on a shelf. I want to still run it. It means a hell of a lot to me. It was one of my first proper locos that I bought me. My nan and granddad are no longer here anymore. They both passed away within the last 18 months, and the thought of not running it when I want to, you know, you shouldn't be in that position. So for longevity, I'd say Bachmann, and for worst in longevity wise, I'd have to say Hornby. You know, I'm sorry, but people might not agree with me, but that is my opinion. Now, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put a blanking plate in it, and I'm going to test that with the good old Trash to Track battery. No, because I probably just pulled that out of there then. See, this all gets edited out normally. I wouldn't be waffling on like this. I have a tendency to misplace my screwdrivers as well. So, I forgot this one wasn't magnetic. So the next one, a question is, again from Steve Davis, is there any loco that I wish I'd worked on? That is a tricky one. Not really. I will work on most things. I have worked on most things. I've worked on European stuff. I did a big boy, River Rossi big boy for one of the episodes. That might have a part 2 because I was never fully satisfied with the way that ran, if I'm totally honest. So not really. That screw's not going in there very well. There's nothing, I see a model and think, oh, I wish I'd worked on that. Because I will take most things on. I've done a lot of repairs over the last 25 years. Is there anything I would decline to work on? Again, no, not really. Now, when I first started Trash to Track, I've done that too far now because now the bogey won't turn. So I'll back that off a little bit. When I first started doing Trash to Track, Engage frightened the life out of me because I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to do Engage with my fat fingers. But I've done a few now and they are relatively easy to work on. There you go, the wheels are turning. Yeah, so that drive shaft's in. So that's that bogey replaced anyway. So basically, if you've not been waffling too much, it's very easy, no soldering. Unclip the wires, unscrew that, bogey out, new bogey on, drive shafts in. I'll do the other one while I answer the questions as well. Just want to get that screw correct because that bogey's a little bit loose now. But no, there's nothing I'll refuse to work on. The older stuff I like working on, mainline and Airfix, because they are simple. Yes, sometimes spares are not easy to come by. But I do find that if I buy a Demic loco, then I get spare body shells and wheels like that. I buy a loco for spares that I know the part I need is okay. So I'll buy a Demic from the model shop or a toy fair and use the parts off that. So no, there is nothing that I will refuse per se to work on. That's got no tack to it. Look, let's pull the paint off. Right, I've got some other questions now. What's this one? Whoops. What is your, well, that should be, who is your favourite Thomas character? Well, I don't really have a favourite character. I have a favourite era. I like the Ringo Starr stuff, series 1 and 2. That is what I grew up with, listening to Ringo Starr. Michelangelis was a bit later, but I like the model series of Thomas. The work that goes into the models, the original stories are good. CGI stuff was okay. It got better towards the end. When my lad was little, there was a guy who was writing for Thomas. I think his name was Andrew Brenner. And he was obviously of the old school Thomas because he went back to the Railway series and did a few of their stories that hadn't been adapted. Another spare bogey. That one isn't, that's broke at the back again. So that can go in the spares bin again. The only thing I'm going to salvage as well is the couplings because the new bogies didn't come with any couplings on them. So I will take these vac pipes out. The air pipes I think will have to stay on because they are solidly glued in. So I'll do that later because I haven't got any with me today. So yeah, I have a favourite Thomas episode. My favourite Thomas episode is the Flying Kipper, where Henry crashes his train. I don't know why. I've always liked that episode ever since I was a kid. I think it's just the way it's set up, in the snow and everything. It is a very good episode, and I do appreciate the model. As I get older, I watch those sort of things, Thomas and Fireman Sam and things that I used to take for granted as a kid myself. And the amount of work that went into those models must have been phenomenal at the time because they didn't have the, as much stuff hanging about as we've got now model wise. Now I'm just going to try and line that drive shaft up again. I think that's lined up. That's in. There's probably an easy way of doing this, but no doubt somebody will tell me in the comments. Why isn't that clipping in there? Oh, now the driver's done a bunk. Come on, clip back in. That's Right, Steve, what is your favourite real loco? Again, I don't really have a favourite real life loco. I like a multitude of different locos. 20s, 40s and 50s come to mind, but I also like 58s. I remember the 58s running through Whittlesea when I was a kid. I used to live in Whittlesea. A place called Whittlesea, which is near Peterborough. And the 58s used to come through there on the old aggregate trains in mainline blue. And they were also in grey. And my dad had a 58 midnight freight train set when I was growing up, which I did. I managed to track one down and do one for a Trash to Track. I think that was the 50th episode. But so anything like that, I don't really have a favourite loco, but I do have several that I do like. I like 08s as well. I think they're cool. 08s, they're good to watch. So I've just done that bogey as well while I was rabbiting on. Line the drive shafts up and that's in. Would I consider a masterclass on fitting extra pickups to older models like Lima diesels? Yeah, I could do that. I could do that as a video, no problem. In fact, I've done it on an upcoming Trash to Track. I do a Lima 101 DMU in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, maybe a bit longer. And I actually fit extra pickups to that. So I could do a video doing that. That's a good idea. I'll have to have a look into that. Would I also consider doing a video about DC and DCC switchable layouts? Simple answer to that is no. Not being funny with anybody on that one, but wiring is not my strong point. I hate it to pieces, which is why on my layout, when people say on my main indoor layout, Abbots Newton, all the points are hand turned because I cannot abide wiring. I friggin' hate it. It's laborious. It is so time consuming. Buying the wire is quite costly, and the point motors are very, very expensive. And I just prefer to manually set the route. Now, you know, I'd love that nothing more than somebody to turn around and say to me, I'm going to build your control panel, I'm going to motorise all your points. There we go, frog juices a lot, boom. But that's never going to happen, and I'm never going to do it, so I'm satisfied with how I am. But no, DCC, DC switchable, it is probably easy, but not for me, I'm afraid. I'll leave that to the more experienced wiring. I do watch a guy on YouTube, what's his name? Charlie at Chadwick. He's quite good at wiring. I do watch some of his videos. So if you need any wiring videos, obviously go to somebody who is a lot better at it than me. Do you work for Trains for You? No, I don't work for Trains for You. I have a very, very good relationship with the guys who work in Trains for You. I've been going in there for a very long time. And I am very, very fortunate in that they allow me to have my post sent to them at the moment, so that my address is not out there for the public. What do I do for a day job? For a day job, I am a signalman for Network Rail. And I have been, come October, I have been a signalman for 20 years, which is astounding, if you ask me. That time has flown by, and it really has. I started signalling at Helpston. I went to signalling school at Crewe in 2004. I finished there on Christmas Eve 2004. And I went to Helpston. Then I was a relief signalman on the East Coast Main Line, and then I went to Eastfield, which is near Peterborough. It controls what's left of the Peterborough West Yards, and then from there I went into the power box as a signaller, and after a couple of years I was a shift manager, deputy LOM, which is the local ops manager, and then I was a shift manager, deputy LOM, until the power box closed in August of last year. Look at that, that's broke, that is. That's just broke off there because the plastic's gone quite brittle. So maybe, I was just saying about longevity of backman stuff, and this 40 is now falling apart around me. So I'm just going to use a bit of Loctite to put that cab bulkhead back on. And then, yeah, when they shut the power box, I came back to Eastfield, and I am now a signaller at Eastfield. I had no intention of going to York. I didn't want to relocate the wife and kids away from the families. Kids are settled at school, etc. And I just didn't fancy that type of signalling. It's not for me, signalling on monitors. I prefer manual or panel signalling. So yeah, that's what I do for a day job. Why did I start YouTube? Now that's a common question I've been asked several times. And the reason is I've got a friend on YouTube, a mate of mine called Nigel. Go and check his channel out, Wallsrail. He is a very, very good modeller. Very talented modeller indeed. And I thought, well, if Nigel can do it, I can do it. And also, I was inspired... Oh, there we go, I'm just giving this a battery test. I'm not really telling you what I'm doing here. Just doing it. Yeah, so I was inspired by Nigel to do it because he did it really well. And there's also a guy in Canada that I watch, a guy called Harrison on SMT Mainline. And I thought, well, if them guys can do it and I do repairs, having the camera in front of me like this is not going to really... Sometimes it's a hindrance, but other times it's really not. How long have I been repairing models? Probably 25 years or more. I always used to like taking them apart. Now, you see what I mean by background noise? I just dropped my insulation tape on the floor. The first thing I remember taking to pieces was my nan and granddad again. They bought me a HST set, and it was one of the original Hornby Ringfield ones, and I dropped it, or it got knocked over or whatever, and one of the bogies came off it, and I looked inside and saw the wiring, so I unclipped the other bogie. I don't know why I remember, I just distinctly remember doing it, having a look how it worked, and then a few years later I had a Bachmann, or a mainline even, J72, which, you know, the little black tank engines, which actually, that very low coat is in the overhaul queue for Trash to Track, so you will see it sometime. And that stopped working. I remember taking that apart. And it went from there, really. I used to go around toy fairs and that with my dad at Spalding and the Crescent at Peterborough when they used to have one there. And I used to buy the non-running stuff to see if we could get it running. And I did, you know, and another thing that got me into repairing stuff, now, we'll carry on with this in a minute. Several years ago, about 18 years ago, I had an old kitchen cupboard on the wall in the garage of my dad's house. And it had some shelves in it, and all my engines were lined up that weren't on the layout, and it collapsed off the wall. And everything ended up on the concrete floor. Now, everything, I lost a lot of things in that, model-wise. 2 Lima 50s I sprayed up and detailed. They were smashed to pieces. They were, you know, they were beyond repair. There was a Bachmann Deltic. Now, ironically, underneath the 40, I picked this up the other day at Trains for You, 55002. Needs some work on it. It's not going to be on Trash to Track. It only needs the buffers and handrails putting on it. But I had that model, and that also got smashed. And other things like Helgen 47s were damaged, but repairable, as were some Bachmann 20s. And I got all the bits together and repaired them, and I basically went from there. And I've got a lot of the engines that fell on the floor there, I've still got, because I managed to repair them and they still work. Again, testament to Bachmann's brilliant longevity. So yeah, I've been repairing models for, yeah, about 25, 27 years, I'd imagine. Do you have a favourite repair that I've done? Yes, I have got a favourite repair. It would have to be Blue Diesel because of the sentimental value for it. I remember playing with that with my brother when we were really little kids. So my favourite repair would have to be Blue Diesel. That runs really well backwards. Running forwards, it's not so good, as I said on the video. So I may revisit that in the future and put a new armature in it, and maybe a stay alive, see if we can get that running a bit better. Do I watch other YouTube channels? Yes, I do watch other YouTube channels. I watch, the majority of stuff I watch on telly is on YouTube. I'm not going to lie, I watch Sam on Sam's Trains a lot. If he puts a video on I want to watch. I watch other repair guys. I watch 00 Bill. I watch him all the time. Harrison over at SMT Mainline. I watch him all the time. He's the guy that really inspired me to do my own YouTube channel, really, because he does some American stuff, but I always enjoy watching his channel. And then I watch other things of interest. I watch a lot of urban explorers, bearded explorer. I watch the mudlarking videos, live cams from around the world, all sorts really. I don't have a... I'd tell you what I've been watching a lot lately, although they are quite older videos. I've been watching a lot of videos on Tony Wright's Little Bytham layout, because I think that is absolutely fantastic, that layout. It is really, it's a proper nice layout, that is. And yeah, layout videos, things like that. So yeah, I do watch other YouTubers. Yeah, that's, like I said, that's the main thing I watch is YouTube. I very rarely watch anything else on telly. If I watch anything else on telly, it's usually something like Dad's Army or something like that, you know, Only Fools and Horses. What's now? I'm getting down this list of questions now, because obviously I'm nearly done with this. So, do I have Patreon? I do have a Patreon page that I set up several weeks ago, but I haven't advertised it or anything yet. So, but I do have a Patreon. If you go on Patreon and find Dan's Model Railways, if you'd like to be a patron for the channel, that is on there. Can we send you stuff? Yes, if you want to send me stuff, you can do. If you send it to, well, it's a little bit, but Dan's Model Railways, Company of Trains for You, at Trains for You address. What I'll do is I'll put their address in the video description, and then I can collect them parcels from there. Do you travel often on real trains? Do you know what? Not as often now as I used to. Before I had kids, I used to go on trains all the time. I'm just going to cut it, hang on, don't go anywhere. I used to travel on trains all the time. I've been all over the place. Yeah, as I was saying, I don't travel on trains as often as I used to, because it is very expensive nowadays. But before I had children, before I was married with kids and commitments, I used to go all over the place. I used to go down to Clapham Junction, photographing all around the London terminals. I've been to York. But when I was younger, my granddad on my dad's side, he worked for British Rail for 45 years, had priv travel, and he got me anywhere for £2, and I went all over the country with him, from Dundee to Torquay, Lowestoft. I went everywhere, usually to Preserved Line for steam, but we went all over the place. I went to Dundee with my brother with him once, went down to Torquay to get my nan a candle, all the way to Torquay to get a candle, you know. But I went all over the place with Grandad. Yeah, that was good, that was. But I don't go on them as often now. I should do, really, but cost and etc. really does put me off. And so I'm just cleaning the wheels on this now, because even though they're brand new, they can have dirt on. And also I spilled some oil on the wheel backs of one of these wheels, so it's going to need a bit of a clean. Right, so where am I on the old video list, question list? Do I have any pets? Do you count children as pets? Now, I've got a dog. I have Cooper, the Labrador. He is seen on a couple of videos when I'm outside in the garden. He likes to get involved. I've also got a fish pond with goldfish, etc. in it, quite a large pond, and an indoor semi-tropical aquarium with fish in that as well. We did have rabbits and stuff like that, you know, normal things that kids have, but that's it as far as pets go. My life's busy enough working and having 4 kids. I don't need any more animals in it. What do you make your videos on? All of the videos you've seen on YouTube so far have been filmed on my iPhone, which is an iPhone 10, I think. Again, not very savvy with tech like that. So I'm just cleaning that wheel because there was something on that wheel. But look, for new wheels, it's quite dirty. So everything's filmed on an iPhone and edited with iMovie and then uploaded that way. So that's basically, I have my iPhone here on this camera stand I got cheap from Amazon. And that is basic setup, a bit of a Heath Robinson setup. As you know, some of these guys have loads of cameras set up, but I just have the one. I did see on one of Double-O Bill's recent videos, he's got this endoscope thing. That's a fantastic thing to have, that is, to see close up, but I just haven't got the room or the tenacity to do anything like that at the moment. What do you do, how do you deal with negative comments and trolls? Now, you know, it's funny that should be asked, because the channel as a whole hasn't had many trolls. It's had a few negative comments, and there was a user that when especially the early trash to tracks that I did, somebody went around and was deliberately disliking every video. Now, before YouTube changed the YouTube Studio app, you could actually see who was liking and disliking your videos, and it was just the same user every time. No matter what the video was, they would give it a thumbs down. So whatever, it could have been a bot, could have been a troll, but it doesn't bother me really, because unless they get nasty about family or kids or whatever, it really doesn't bother me. If it's really nasty, I'll delete it, or other people I've been known to report stuff to YouTube who then remove it. But on a whole, I've not really had any trolls or negative comments, which is a good thing, really. You know, it's not nice being trolled online. I mean, why people do it, I'll never understand. But there we go. So where's that speedometer? There we go. So I'm going to put the chip back in it now. I know that it all works. I'll just do a double check, but you can see that all 8 wheels are turning, which means the drive shafts are engaged. Bogies have all been replaced, although they do look a little bit clean. Right, next one, and we are getting down the list of questions now, so we're nearly done. What keeps you motivated? How do I stay motivated? Pin one's there. How do I stay motivated? Well, the thing is, sometimes you run out of motivation when you're doing videos. If you do a video that doesn't get a lot of likes or views, not necessarily likes, but if you do a video doesn't get a lot of views, it can annoy you, it can take the wind out your sails a little bit. But with Trash to Track, with Trash to Track, I have got currently, and I'm filming this on, what is it, the 1st of June today, I think. There are 7 Trash to Tracks uploaded for scheduled release over the next one a week over the next 7 weeks. So if I lose motivation on repairs or something, you know, if I get busy or something, I've got enough content to go on until I get my mojo back. Now, the reason that's it is because sometimes I will film 3 or 4. The most I've ever done is 3 Trash to Tracks in a day, repair wise, which have then sat on my phone in the editing suite for a week until I can get round to the layout or the garden railway to film the running sessions, and the photographs that you see at the end of, you know, of the Trash to Tracks of the loco sitting there are always done after the running session has been done. So it can be a week or more until I get them done. So I'll edit and do the voiceovers of 2 or 3 Trash to Tracks at once, and then upload it all. Then I know then if I go on holiday or I'm at work, busy period or whatever at work, I've got plenty of content that will automatically upload once a week until such a time as I get my mojo back, or, you know, etc. It's like a video like this, which I should imagine without looking is dragging on a bit now. So I hope you've stayed around. If you have, thanks very much. But yeah, I do tend sometimes to lose motivation, especially if you get a video where you put a lot of effort in and it's slow to take off. One of the videos I find that did that was I built a Hudswell Clark 1800 tank engine, which is Thomas off the Nene Valley Railway. And that took a long while to do. It took a long while to edit. And when I uploaded it to YouTube, you expect it to be a good video, good... you know, but it was so slow to take off, and it was disheartening. It was a little bit disheartening. But then you get other things like that garden railway video where this very 40 fell off my layout. I was literally sat outside with my phone. I wasn't filming, I was just running the trains for the kids. It was sunny afternoon, so we got the trains out. And when the 40 fell off, I said to James, I said, "Oh, leave it. I'll film it. Don't touch it. You know, we'll have a look on camera and do it like like live, if you like, you know, on camera." And the videos I put very little effort into get the more views, and it is funny how YouTube does that. My very first Aldi and Lidl tool video, you know, it was just, I was in Lidl's with the wife. I was in Lidl's with Sarah, and I said, oh, I'm going to do a video on these little screwdrivers. Took me 30 minutes to film it, edit it, and upload it, and it went mental. It went absolutely mental. And it's just one of them things, you put a lot of effort into a video, and I'm sure really YouTubers are the same. They put, you know, and then you'll get a video you put hardly any effort in, and it goes wild. So anyway, I've gone off a bit on a tangent there, so let's move on. Next question. How many trains have you got for Trash to Track yet to do? Lots. I've got like a tower of drawers in the railway room, and one of the drawers is full of locos for Trash to Track. Now, I don't usually tell, you know, I don't know why, I just don't say what's coming up next or anything like that. But there's all sorts in there. There's a Hornby Duchess, there's 2 mainline warships, there's some Triang things, there's some Fleischmann stuff, there's a lot. I've got enough for at least another 50 episodes, and that's without what you guys send me in, so it's not going to end anytime soon. And oh, the next question, will Trash to Track end eventually? Well, it might do if circumstances change, if my own personal circumstances change and I'm not able to do it anymore. It might end, but I don't plan on ending it. Like I just said, I've got enough for another 50 episodes. So we'll see. It might evolve. It might change direction. Everybody's videos evolve. I mean, the first Trash to Track I did was 40 odd minutes long, that Dean Goods. And I filmed that and edited it. And instead of being spontaneous in the voiceover, like now I just do a voiceover by watching the screen. But with that main Dean Goods, I actually wrote a script, which is why it doesn't seem as natural now when I watch it back as some of the other ones do. So it will evolve. I've got no doubt it will evolve. And if it carries on and the amount of repairs keep coming in, I might even stretch it to twice a week. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it's not going to end anytime soon. Sorry, I'm just concentrating, just trying to put this jumper cable on the buffer beam. So that's gone on. So, whoops, there we go. Right, are there more layout videos coming? Yes, there are. Apologies for lack of layout videos. When I'm doing Trash to Track and I've been working on the layout, it becomes a bit of a shelf. The main running lines work, the loops, but in this time of year, I tend to run the Garden Railway a lot because I really do like that. But I'm going to put some more effort into doing some more scenery. It's been over 2 years since I did any scenery on the layout, so that is really something I've got to do soon. So again, time allowing, I will do some layout videos. Do I have any other hobbies? Yes, I do have other hobbies. I like going fishing. I haven't been for a while. Oh, we're done now, by the way. I think you've been watching this. I put them jumper cables on. The bogies were all on, sound chips back in. I put that capacitor thing under there, not that it seems to do anything. And now I'm going to put the body shell back on, and we're nearly done. So yeah, I like to go fishing. I haven't been for a long while. I moved away from Whittlesea, where I used to live, and there were plenty of rivers, drains and lakes. Now, you know, fishing was plentiful around there. But where I live now, it's few and far between. I live in Lincolnshire, and there aren't as many lakes and certainly no rivers to speak of. So I haven't done it as much as I would like to. But I'm going to try and do it a bit more this year because James wants to go. So in a couple of weeks when the new fishing season starts, I might start going again. But I also, you know, do other things. I collect railway books, as my wife will tell you. As she tells anybody that will listen, I've got way too many. And I'll probably have to agree with her because I am running out of space. I must have over 2,000 railway books. So just a few. But no, trains are my biggest hobby. They always have been, really, ever since I was little. And yeah, unfortunately, a bit, you know, when I was a kid, people used to take the mickey out of me for liking trains at school and that. But it's done me well in life. My granddad was a railwayman. I'm a career railwayman. He's always put food on my table, so I've not got any qualms on having trains as a hobby. So there we are. That's the 40 done. New bogies on the 40 now. Obviously, they're not weathered. I will thoroughly test run and run them in, and then I'll touch the paint up The wheels are clean. So this bit, obviously, I'm all doing a voiceover, but when I get home tomorrow, whenever, I'll get the 40 out the shed and we'll give it a blast in the garden. Right, we'll do the last couple of questions now before we sign off. There we go, I'll just move the camera down. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a look at this Deltic while I answer the last couple of questions. Like I said, this needs buffers. Oh dear, that buffer there is a bit... Oh. So it needs, all 4 buffers need replacing. Handrails, lamp brackets need putting on. And it needs a bloody good wheel clean because I chipped this the other week and it does not run. Yeah, it needs cleaning up. But yeah, I should probably give that a blast on the garden tomorrow as well. It needs a couple in that end as well. But that's the 40 done. So let's have a look at these last couple of questions. Does your wife and kids like... Oh, sorry, do your wife or your kids like trains? Yeah, Sarah loves trains. No, she... I can't do that without laughing. She tolerates them, I think, is a better word. You know, I don't go out to the pub, I don't go to football matches. If she knows, if I'm doing anything, I'm usually outside doing some trains or sat in the dining room or something, so she knows where I am. She keeps an eye on me. Do the kids? The kids do. James does. James likes his train simulators. He likes the garden railway. He's got his own 009 set up. You know, he likes a lot of things like that. And the girls do. If I'm running trains outside, the girls come out and they watch. How long that will last, I don't know. But they always seem to like coming out there with me, which is always nice. You know, so, yeah, it's always nice. And that is it. I've exhausted my questions list there whilst we've been doing this 40. So we've managed to replace both bogies on the 40 after it took a plunge off the garden railway. They're both now fully rebuilt. They are clean. They do need a bit of a weathering, but I'll do that next time I get the airbrush out. So nothing now is broken on it. It's fit for service. So I'm going to call it a day now. Thank you all so much for watching. If you stuck it out this far, it is a bit of a long video, but thank you very much, and I will see you again very soon. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye.